guys? Tambo here with your weekly core report. We're coming off of Thanksgiving, and our members and experts had a ton to be thankful for last week. Let's get to the winners. In the NBA streets, Ash Frank NFL won $1,500. NYG Fan used AP's heat map to win $1,800. D-Rex26 hit for $4,500, and new subscriber Tom hit for $15K. Fur PBC shipped for $33K, while the Man 11 had yet another huge payday, shipping for $100,000. RPS continues to dominate all sports, including World Cup soccer. Our team has been crushing it with the content, and we have the receipts to prove it. Go Boys 18 hit for $1K. New member Wes Ray won over $1,300. Jaime's content helped Poker Pastor get through a tough time, hitting for $2K. Big T won over $20K. Rubio's hard work grinding out soccer content paid off with a $20K shipper. Well, the biggest winner was RPS member Eddie, who turned $500 into over $30,000. Our NFL content has been on fire all season, and we didn't let the Thanksgiving holiday slow us down. We have plenty of free content available on our YouTube channel daily, so make sure to subscribe right now to access the winners. DK for 5 hit big on Thanksgiving, winning $10K. C Jacobs 986 joined him, shipping for $15K. On the main slate, Racing Jason 910 hit for over $6K. LT Dog 24 shipped for $50K, while my own heater continued, winning my first FFWCC. For Showdown, our guy Hoop was a big winner, shipping for over $100K across sites. He used his core plays laid out for our premium members, including a low-owned Jelani Woods, who ended up breaking the slate. Shout out to YGuy223, who won over $9K as well. Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in the core report, drop your winning lineup in the Members Never Win channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. And while you're watching, hit that like button now. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Till next time, let's keep running pure.
Your ass better call somebody.
It's me. It's that BIGT.
What is up, Jabroni? JJ back here with Bruce Big T and Travis Mangone. Talk a little college football for Championship Saturday. Nice little 8-game slate. I know, Mangone, you were talking on this prior to the show. These are also most often my favorite slates, mainly because you just have enough time to adjust. You don't feel like you're in panic mode for every game, where you get like 8 games at 3:30 and 6 games at 12. Get like 2 games, 3 games at 4, then maybe 3 games at 8, something like that. Maybe get another game in between, but it's a nice little variation, and you can also do some interesting things with lineup construction in terms of pivots or easier. Forget injury news or whatnot, but pivoting makes it a little easier. It's pretty easy to figure out where people are going later, if you're trying to be different later, based on how your lineups have done to date. Now, we'll talk on some pricing because they did have some pricing woofs today, but that's fine. I mean, it's an 8-game slate. You have the ability to be different in certain places. Mangone, since I'll start with you before we go around the room, what makes these slates better for you or more fun for you versus the normal 14-gamer that's on Saturdays?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I like about these slates, and I always like about these kind of slates, so you can make adjustments. It can be a tough sweat, though. I will say that, like when you're actually sitting and watching it, we say not to tilt, right? Try your best not to, but it can get tilting, right? Because if you make like a tough fade early on, you need to understand, like, you are just probably going to get dusted then, right? Like if you make a huge fade, or you got to find a way to battle back. That's the other thing. Don't sweat it too hard. Be like, I got to battle back and kind of find my way into it. Like, for instance, the first game, let's say you decide, hey, I'm going to fade Deuce Vaughn. Like, Deuce Vaughn's going to be one of the chalkiest running backs on this slate. Well, if you decide to make that fade, you made that decision at 12 o'clock. So if he's got like 4 touchdowns in the first 2 hours, just understand that is the decision that you made. And it can be difficult for sure, but you got to find ways to battle back. You can make changes. You can not eat chalk in other areas then. So there's ways to kind of, be smart about it. Or let's say you do like a low-owned guy to start. Like, let's say Quentin Johnson. Let's say he's going to be lower owned. He goes out for a monster game. Well, now you can eat some more chalk in different spots. So A lot of fun to play these slates. I'm definitely in on them. I think they're a good time, and you get to kind of watch how it all goes. And there's no better feeling on these slates, I'll say, than when you do the old backload and it all just comes to your favor. Like when you see everything, that's like the best feeling. Like, and especially I know Tony knows in NBA too. It's a great feeling when you're like sitting there and all the early games are dudding, and you got like 2 guys in there with flames, and then you got like the rest of it's just all backloaded on the last 2 West Coast basketball games. So it's a good feeling when you can kind of get to that spot, and then you hope just kind of to get lucky. But I think that's what's going to happen with me. I think I'm definitely going to do some more backloading, but curious to talk about it with you guys because there is a couple games. There's the first game, which I want to have a little discussion about. There's another one in the middle. Like there's so many different ways that we can go and different teams that we're not normally used to playing as well. So I'm curious to see how you guys feel the ownership shakes out with that too, because these are not normal teams that we typically see week to week.
So speaking of good news, Anthony, you have some good news, right? I'm not going to say it on your behalf because you won't want me to, but if you make me, I will. So I think you won something this week, right? Something okay?
Hell, I mean, it was nothing. I didn't even win money that night. So.
You see what happens, Travis. The guy can't even
talking about.
I know
the guy will go to Twitter about it, but he's on video. Can't just say, yeah.
I'm a company man, Dunkel. I'm trying to build this thing up here. You got to bring it to Twitter, but I mean that was just a little guy. We got to ship something to.
Green is green. Pull that belt out. Tell the people you're the champ, and you're coming back for it.
I mean, I'm going to defend that title next week. I'll say that. I mean, that's going to happen.
That's what we'd love to hear. So, real quick, Tony, on your end, these shorter slates, you like them more than the other mains, or you prefer the mains?
No, I always like the shorter slates, every sport, and we got the college championship today too. So that's one thing that I want to get. Last year, I made a bad swap. It's haunted me since then. On this show, I came on and gave the winner, and I had it in my core even. So the worst part was everyone on the site was like, "Oh, thanks for the core, Big T. You ship, blah blah blah." But my donkey ass in the final pivoted off my own core. And let's just say it didn't work out. I would have won. So it's haunted me for a year. I got to get the title today to make up for that. But I love these slates. I mean, you got a couple early games, couple middle games, couple night games, lots of options. I always like it when there's only a few that start each time frame because like you guys said, you don't have to panic. You can wait on news. You can always just pivot to later guys if you're uncomfortable. And you know what? I mean, if it gets to the end and you got to just plug someone in, maybe you get lucky sometimes. You get down there, you play a receiver you didn't want to play. He ends up low owned because everyone already played guys. And you can almost take it game by game, like Mangone said. Like, Deuce Vaughn, let's go the other way. Say he goes for 40. All of a sudden, you got to pivot to lower owned guys to catch up or something. That's what happened to me last year is the annoying part. Just to get not to rehash it completely, but the early game last year was like an 80 total. Same thing as this year, where I talked about it. Like it's 2 dusty ass teams getting all the ownership, and of course it busted. Like a quarterback got hurt, another quarterback busted. The whole freaking game was like 70% owned in the final. Totally busted. I didn't have any of it, and I was just sitting literally on the total nuts. So what I did, my stack was already low owned Bama, Georgia. So I pivoted onto the late, like high total game. I think it was Wake Forest or something late, Pittsburgh maybe with Pickett, whatever it was. I pivoted thinking I was smart because I'm pivoting back on the high total off the low owned guys. But problem was that total busted too. So both high totals busted last year. And the loan did it. So sometimes the pivoting hurts you too. I'll say that because you try to get too cute, right? Like, oh, this game busted, so you're getting off the plays you already like. Still play the guys you like. You don't need to go crazy. If you liked it to start the day, don't pivot off of it. That's the lesson.
To be fair, Tony, did you like that Pitt game? Because like I will say the one.
I liked it for sure. It's easy to be results oriented. Like.
The one thing I just want to counter with is like, and I think that's fine. Sometimes people, they'll make the pivot and they're like, I didn't even like that spot. Listen, if you didn't like that spot, then please never make that pivot.
You got to say you don't like it beforehand, though. We have so many damn results oriented. After it bust, of course you freaking didn't like it.
Yeah.
But before the game, did you like it?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think sometimes people feel like, well, I mean, like, optimally, am I supposed to go to this chalk guy? Like, listen, if there's like a late chalk player that you feel like, oh, well, am I supposed to do this? You obviously do whatever you want to do, but if you do not like that play and you have a conviction on that game, then don't play the guy. You know what I mean? Like, at least because I do feel like you like the game. It is painful. I get it for sure. But I think that's one of the big things to make sure you do is don't just be like, well, there's this really good play that I feel like I need to play. You know what I mean? If you've kind of done you ran your numbers, you've looked at stuff, and you're lower on like a wide receiver that's going to be playing later, like let's say it's Josh Downs or Charlie Jones. Like if you truly think Charlie Jones is the better play, projections won't agree with that. Projections will probably say it's Downs. Then just go with the Jones play. Don't be like, well, the one guy's chalkier and I'm just doing that. The only time you ever do that is if you're in a head-to-head contest, you know the salary remaining on a guy, and you just box him out. Or you could box him out too in like a live final too. If you know it's just you, like 1 and 2 at the top. If you really truly know that you're boxing someone out, that's when you do it. But you have to like truly feel like you know that that is the guy that he has, and that's who you're boxing out. That's the only time you really do it, as long as you don't have that conviction.
Yep.
Bruce, on your end, in regards to a slate like this, you on the same page as us? You prefer these, or you prefer it a little bigger, and then we'll get to the slate?
Man, I love it because it's less work for me. I can actually have time to go do stuff in between games. Just can't beat that. I can go get a nice little workout in here in a little bit. So
Get a workout in.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at that. Look at that shirt. It's screaming. I mean,
It's a medium, man. I gotta go with the medium. Show the guns off a little bit.
No, that's great. And yeah, I mean, to point two, it's better for our members too, because we'll likely finish the show within an hour, and we'll be able to give them more help with the 12 o'clock games and whatnot. And even I have time to do a bet show at 12, so makes the world go round and round much better. So all good.
We got an update on your father? Is he going on the bet show? I mean, what we got an update there? I mean, New England took it to him pretty good there.
Yeah, I gotta mention, I haven't been in contact with him. I've sent him a few messages. He hasn't responded. But I know he's alive because I know from other people he's responding to them. So he's currently on a milk carton as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I'll talk more on that on the bet show. All right. So TCU, Kansas State, implied totals 31.5 TCU, 30 Kansas State. So we did see yesterday USC's defense get exposed. And I know people are comparing them directly to TCU. TCU's defense is not nearly as bad as USC's is. However, USC does play in a much more offensive-centric conference. Especially with some of the better offenses in all of D1 in the Pac-12. With that said, TCU's defense has been pretty blah, and Kansas State can definitely expose that portion of it today. I personally am rooting for TCU to lose just because it'll basically lock up a Final Four of Bama, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State if TCU loses today. So that's what we're hoping for. TCU will likely get blown out against any of these other 3 teams that they get matched up against in the first round. With that said, the game is what it is today. Howard at 6-3. To me, the good part with Howard is this offense passes a lot more efficiently when he's back there. So you can play the receivers if you'd like. I'm likely going to be underweight on this game relatively. Granted, of course, it could shoot. And of course, Vaughn will be relatively popular, I'm sure. Me personally, I have him ranked as the 4th or 5th best running back on the slate per his price. But I guess we could talk on more of the other backs I like when we get further along. Real quick though, Bruce, what do you see in Vaughn's ownership at today?
Man, it should be in the 50s, somewhere around there.
Yeah, so I will be underweight on Vaughn. Granted, he can get there. I want to be clear. I will have Vaughn exposure, but I will definitely be under 50%. I'll talk on some other backs. I like it when we go through the slate more. Once again, we have Miller at 6'6". They just never rise this guy's price above where it should be. Let me just see real quick in terms of yards per play speaking. Yeah, I mean, Kansas State's going to have some serious advantages in a few different ways. And Kansas State's defense is okay. It's not great. It's okay. It's better than TCU's, which again makes this game relatively tough to love the angles to it as far as game scripts or game stacks go. So yeah, consider me underweight on this game. I don't necessarily love anything about it. Like a few spots. I like Vaughn, but I'm definitely not going to like him as much as everybody else does. Big T, game like this, early game. This game figures, what's the other 12 o'clock? So this game figures to be a little more popular than the other game that's at 12. What are you doing here with this one?
Yeah, it's interesting because just going through the slate, and this is the highest total, right? There's Carolina higher. I mean, it is, right?
Carolina's higher.
Yeah.
So the Clemson game's slightly higher, but I mean, it's right there. And I don't think people are everyone's going to backload like Mangone loves to do. Everyone's going to play deuce, but no doubt about that. But I think a ton of people will just go in and play deuce and kind of move on and wait for more news. So I have 3 teams in the final, so I'm playing 3 teams today. And I'm tempted to stack this thing up a little bit on one of them because Big 12, I don't know. There's definitely paths where this game shoots and the rest of the day doesn't do all that much. And these guys aren't going to be owned. Like, these TCU guys are not going to be played. They're not. And everyone's kind of rooting on K-State, myself included. I agree with all that. I don't want TCU in the playoff. I think TCU's super overrated. Even last week when they got blown out, they were getting pick sixes and punt returns and fumbles and freaking every random play going their way. I don't know, though. I think this game could shoot a little bit, and no one's going to be owned. So it's almost similar to NBA. Like Mangone said, there's strategies that go both directions. And honestly, with 3 teams, it's a nice thing to have because I can do it both ways. I can stack up one early. I can maybe not play anything on one, and maybe one I play just deuce or something like that. But if I had one, I would be tempted to just go in here and stack this up a little bit. Dugan, Quentin Johnston, Kendry Miller. I mean, you can even throw our boy Tay in. He's always a hero when people expect at least. And then K-State, like you guys said, I mean, Will Howard's been pretty good at times. I mean, Bruce is going to have to find me a receiver in there. I guess Malik Knowles or whatever his name is decent, but I don't know. I feel like we can stack this up. Just as far as an overview, though, I mean, Deuce Vaughn's the best play on the slate to me. His projection is way bigger than anyone. His price is fair. He's going to be high owned, but I think he should be higher owned. I can't imagine fading him in this spot unless it's just straight game theory like we've talked about where you're just hoping it gets slowed down. But, I mean, when he gets 30-plus, like I think he will, you're going to have a hard time catching up, is my opinion.
Yeah, so it's an interesting talk on projections, right? Like where we get them from, because it's interesting. We leveraged the quote-unquote projections as if they're objective. Like these projections do start somewhere. And they're modified subjectively, and we go from there. I'll give you a perfect example. Prize Picks has him laid out at 22.5 fantasy points today. Now, Prize Picks is a little different. Prize Picks doesn't have bonuses, so we'll call it 24.5, 25.5. But meanwhile, projections seemingly have him at 30. I guess what I'm getting at is from a projection standpoint, sure, he could have a good day, but I'd argue there's cheaper backs that have similar upside. But pricing should not be an issue today. But Mangone,
the projection feels good to me, though. So this is super simple take, but it's how I play fantasy. I mean, I see his projection. I go look at his last 5 games, 36, 29, 33, 33, and a 12. So 4 of the 5, he's basically hit that number. So in my head, in the simple man head, I'm like, that projection feels pretty good in the 60 total.
Yeah, I want to be clear. I'm not disagreeing. I think if you told me he was 20% on today, I'd be 40% on him. If you tell me he's 50, 60, which he likely will be, I'm likely going to also be 20, 25% on him. You have an 8-game slate. If he gets you 20, he's not going to be in the optimal for you today. It's bottom line. He gets you 25, he also might not be in the optimal for you today. He gets you 30, I'd argue he still might not be in the optimal.
You're definitely reaching the higher. You get up to 30. There's only 8 games.
Well, here's the thing. There's 3 other backs that are 1,500 to 2K cheaper than him that project in the 20s. Like to me, it's like what I get that we want the 30, but I think
those guys are going to be owned too, though.
Like, okay, but how much if he's 50?
I mean, like Tyjae's going to be 40. I mean, everyone's going to play 3 of these guys. Like all these dudes. What
about? I guess it's good conversation.
Edwards, Shipley, Kendry Miller, a little bit lower there.
Vital from Troy. I project him at 22.5. What's he going to be on? He's 5,700.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he'll be that high.
No.
So he could be a good
so like I'm saying, so guys like that, like to me, it's like you want to talk game theory. I mean, that's a guy I'm going to be way overweight on. Now, granted, that could screw me, but just as an example. All right, so Mangone. Obviously, Deuce Vaughn's got to be a Mangone guy today. Big time big Vaughn guy. So is he a guy you're locking in today, or are you going to go at the field about 50, 60%?
Okay, well, I mean, I'm playing one lineup, so I can't be 50%. So that's gonna be tough. But so I'll either 100% or I'll be 0%. But I like him a lot. He's a really good play. The big debate you're gonna have, I think, with Vaughn is what do you do with him versus the other running backs? And I will say you make a good point about like Vital, right? That's like a 2K difference, and what that can do for your lineup. Like I have one of those teams right now, and like I would say like we all know how we are as DFS players. We know what, like our strengths and weakness are, and like. One of my strengths and weaknesses, I think it's both, is I'm good at like jamming everything and then having like a punt that helps pray and make everything happen. And Vaughn's in that lineup right now. But if I move him down, then I upgrade another spot. makes the 2v2 kind of interesting. So I'm kind of considering
No
that.
damn way. I'm gonna get what do I usually tell him, Dunkel? Like, I'm going on record again. There's no damn way that Mangone's fading Deuce Vaughn.
There is a chance. I mean,
no
he's
chance.
He's again playing one team. I think it's Edwards over Vaughn today, personally. So that's one guy I think I'm keeping in there. I don't know. I definitely want to talk this over with Bruce a little bit, because the one guy I was scared of fading too was Tajay Spears a little bit. And then he was like, man, like, this is a really good spot. So it's hard to make that decision at running back. This isn't like a smash running back spot for a lot of guys, but there's a lot of good ones. Vaughn is definitely an interesting one to watch and see. And two, he's also the first game, right? And one thing that's kind of nice is, if you can watch how the chalk play is in the first game and then make some decisions, that is kind of valuable, right? And that's one reason to maybe fade him. So that's kind of something that I'm thinking about a little bit, because there are a lot of other running backs that you can go to. I thought you brought up great points, Tony, about how this game could be way under-owned compared to the other game. And they're both the same totals, very similar lines.
Where's this game at, by the way? Is it in a dome or anything?
It's in Dallas, yeah.
It probably isn't a dome.
In the Cowboy Stadium?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes it even tastier.
Where's the UNC game? Is that in the dome too, or is that outside?
That is in Atlanta, I think.
Got to be outside.
Is it?
Not if it's in Atlanta.
Probably in that dome.
ACC championship.
Last year was in that dome.
The only reason I said is I see the clouds on the DraftKings thing.
Oh, okay.
I assume that means it's outside, but I don't.
Yeah.
We should find out where all these games are while we're going,
we
because it is important this time of year.
It is very important, for sure. Like last year, that game that we played, Tony, I don't think that thing was in a dome. That game, that was the game of the week or whatever. And like,
it's in Charlotte at the Panthers Stadium.
It's outdoor.
Okay. So it's not outside. Okay, interesting. All right, it's not inside.
It's outdoors. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That is a good point, because I am definitely team dome. You gotta like the dome. But anyways, So
I guess ultimately all I'm saying with the Vaughn situation is Edwards to me should be the highest owned back on the slate. Now he might not be, but he should be the highest owned back on the slate.
See, I agree. I'm on Edwards over him. So like I said that too.
He's going to get that quorum workload. That's just it's so good.
Against the team
it's about offensive line play, right? Like, yes, I think Quorum's very talented, and we know Edwards is talented, and you're buying the offensive line more than you are that. And the defense, Purdue defense we can pick on as well. But Max Duggan should be talked about, and like Quentin Johnson. Like, for instance, if you go, and I just kind of messed around with it in my own build, I was curious when we were talking about it. And I hate rostering Quentin Johnston. I know he has a lot of upside, but he can be frustrating at times, but he has a ton of upside to win you a slate. And if you take him and Max Duggan, right, off of Josh Downs, you get a really nice amount of salary to upgrade a position just on that 2v2 alone. And that 2v2 could easily outscore. I mean, easily. So I am considering looking at that. I think it's definitely in play. So those are the kind of the guys. And then I'd probably do like a run back of Deuce Vaughn. That's like a small way that you can get exposure to it. I really don't want to get exposure to the Kansas State passing game as much. It's really Deuce Vaughn and then either going Max Duggan with a Johnson. I think that little mini stack is a really interesting thing to look at on this slate. So overall, that's kind of the stuff that I'm looking at right now. I'm curious if you have any like of the yards per play Dunkel stuff on this game, just because I don't know. I do want to play that Clemson UNC game really bad, because I just know how bad that UNC defense is, and I know how overrated the Clemson defense is. So I'm kind of curious what you think with this game, because it's one of those games where you can just get out in front and gain the information with Duggan and Johnston, and then decide what to do. Because if Johnston does and gets you like a 3, you're like, okay, now I know kind of how to handle the rest of the slate, which is some valuable information for sure.
Yeah, I mean, unless I have my numbers wrong, it does look like these are two relatively underrated defense based on what the market thinks of them. Now, TCU gives up 5.3 yards per play, which is not good, but they're decent against the run, and they're not terrible against the pass. So, I mean, 6.8 per yards attempt defensively for TCU? That's not great, but it's definitely not something where you're like, I got to target this team's pass defense. 4.1 yards on the ground. Kansas State's a little worse on the ground, and they're a little better against the pass. I would consider them mids. I mean, it's not like there's something here that's like super exploitable, but you do have super talented players in the game. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of different ways you can cut this up. To me, nothing sticks out as far as the numbers go. Bruce, your end, obviously Vaughn, the whole bit. What's your take? And then we'll move on to Toledo.
I just don't love Vaughn today. I hate fading him, but the second half of that game, last time they played, TCU kind of figured things out, didn't allow any scores in the second half. I just like this TCU defense a little bit too much. I think he scores in the 20s today, which just doesn't beat me. So I'm leaning towards. I even like Kendre Miller a little bit more today, to be honest. Just because DeMarcado could be out for TCU, which he's been getting some of the run at running back as well. So it's just, man, it just is a good spot for Miller. He tore them up on the ground last time they played too. So he got healthy last week. Didn't have to play as much because they blew Iowa State out. I think that the toughest part of this game, which is going to be under-owned, is Quentin Johnston. He supposedly had his best week of practice this week. Didn't play last week against Iowa State, so he got that week of rest. So I think Quentin Johnston is a good lower owned play. Should be 10 to 15% owned, and the ankle got right last week. So I don't hate that at all. Ben Sinnott is actually a good value play at 3,500. Plays the whole game at tight end. 18% target share with Howard in at quarterback. So I think that's a solid play at 3,500 if you need it for sure.
Yeah, I definitely like that. And like I said, to be clear, it's not like I don't think Vaughn's gonna have a good day. I just you weigh a player against the slate, and there's just better backs per dollar today than Deuce. It's just the reality. Like, yeah, he can go for 40 on any slate. But you just take the slate as a whole. There's just better plays per dollar.
I disagree with you guys, just to make it.
And again, add in the fact that he's going to be 50% owned is like makes it even easier. It's like, okay, I'll just root for him not to get 35 today. I will have him. I want to be clear. It's not like you might see me in the leaderboard and have a Deuce 1. I just will 100%. Now, granted, if it comes out and he's 30% owned, well, fuck me then. But if he's 50, yeah, no, thank you. There's better backs per dollar in my opinion. All right, so next game up, Ohio Toledo. We have implied total 25.5 Ohio, 29 Toledo. Look, per dollar, and you're going to hear me say that a lot on this show. Harris, Ohio quarterback, one of the better quarterbacks in the entire slate. Guy has a tremendous amount of upside. Guy runs. Toledo's defense has been overrated all year. He's filling in for Rourke, so maybe you get a little sophomore hangover from him today in a negative way. But they just did not price him accordingly because he clearly can throw if needed, and he will take the ball at the goal line in himself. He showed that last week. So, yeah, I like him. The problem is, who do you pair him with? I don't love Wigloos. I know that he's been their best receiver all year. He's been kind of down, though, in recent weeks. It also looked like Harris was targeting Jacoby Jones a lot. So I like them two paired together if you're going to pair them. I think you can run him naked, though, Harris. But Harris will likely be, we'll talk more on the slate. He's going to likely be the quarterback on the highest on today. I know that he's probably going to see ownership. Bruce, what are you seeing, like 30% for him, 25, something like that?
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to be double the field on him. Look, if he screws me, he screws me. But the problem is the run back, right? So Kelly from Toledo screwed me last week. I guess he was hurt. I don't even know. He didn't play at all after getting back-to-back 15-plus carries, and he was 3,800. So that news kind of sucks when it happens, but I don't really know who you would even run back. I know with Finn at 67. Look, I'd argue Finn at 67. That dude has moon-type upside at 6,700. It's hard to get to him, though. But he's always liked him some Newton. And I think Newton, while he only had one catch, he had to have like 8, 9, 10 targets the week he had one catch. It felt like they just weren't on the same page at all. He just kept throwing his way and wasn't on the same page. And just to be clear, Finn's going to play today, right? Because I know they swapped in Gleason. I assume Finn will play.
Yeah, Finn is in. They said he wasn't 100%, so maybe less running this week.
Okay. So yeah, maybe that lowers you down wanting to play him, and I'm not going to be on him anyway. So like talking for no reasons actually. But that's really where I'd be at with this game. I would play Newton. I would play Jones with Harris. Newton would be my run back because I don't trust the Toledo running back situation. It's just all over the place. Bangura is just a running back I'm finding hard to get to. He obviously has upside. But at 7,100, I'd rather play Vaughn in that same price range. So it's just he's almost an easy fade for me. Bruce, I'll kick it back to you. What are you doing with this game?
Man, I love the quarterback, CJ Harris, 5,500. There's not a lot of value at that spot today. You're looking at like an Aiden O'Connell, which sucks against Michigan, and a Gunnar Watson, which also is terrible. So I love him today. Running backs, I'm just totally skipping over. I don't like Bangura. Just tougher matchup. I think Toledo They can defend the pass very well. Their run defense is a little questionable, especially the last few weeks. They've kind of got destroyed on the ground. So, he could have a big game, but, like you said, I'd rather play a Deuce Vaughn at that price. I do like, for a value, Demir Blankenship for Toledo. Came back from injury last week, played 43% of the snaps. If you look at his game log, he has some pretty big games, before getting injured. Jacoby Jones, as you mentioned, he's been solid. Miles Cross got banged up, so he played a little bit more and looked really good. 3.2 yards per route run is pretty close to top on the slate, which I love looking at that to find the explosive slate breakers there. So I think he's a good play. Jamal Turner at 4,200, tight end, big guy, plays all the game, 8 touchdowns on the year too. So I don't mind him either.
Nice, Mangone. You being a one lineup guy today, you gonna have any pieces from this game?
Yeah, I mean, the Harris thing is the thing I don't want to do, but I can get baited in these plays sometimes. And he's a good play for sure. I don't know what to do with him because there's just no value. Like the first team that I built, it has like this one punt that we'll talk to later on, and I just don't know if I should do it. It might be dumb, but we'll have to see. I definitely want to talk about it as we kind of get to the later games, but Finn is definitely going to be an interesting play. You could pair up with Newton, and I played Newton last week, and he was very frustrating. But hey, going back to the well, feels like I should at least consider it. It was obviously a frustrating experience, but we know what the targets is, and he's only 5K, and he gets a ton of them. Yes, last week it was frustrating, only getting that one reception, but overall, first game back for Finn, guys were running out too, kind of maybe give it a pass, but Newton definitely in the conversation here for me. I was not going to play Harris, but he does have the rushing ability. I don't know. Part of me wants to just look at these totals and target some of these bad defenses. And I don't know. I'm kind of leaning on staying away from this game. At this point, it's really just CJ Harris is the one guy that could just be nice salary relief for your lineups. But there's other quarterbacks later that are cheap. I'm curious to get your take later on, Dunkel, about Aiden O'Connell. I know it's not the easiest spot, but you expect him trailing a lot. Who's only $200 more than him. And we know you love him at that price tag normally. So there's a lot of quarterbacks as value plays. And if this is going to be one of the chalky ones, I don't know. There's some merit, I think, to just playing some other quarterbacks later on, because I think there are some good ones on this slate besides just Harris.
I can't argue, obviously, the leverage perspective with him being that high owned and not wanting to say him. I will say this, that the quote-unquote spreadsheet loves the Toledo offense today. So Ohio's defense is just bad against the run. They're bad against the pass. The problem is, who do you even play from Toledo? But like you said, maybe you one off certain players here and there. The receiver Newton makes sense. You could go Finn, but he's likely not going to run as much. But just something to consider. Big T, doing anything with this game?
I don't see it. There's more ownership in this game than the last game, and it's a lower total. I don't understand the total really, because when I think of these two teams, like I always say, I like to picture what the total should be before I actually look. I thought for sure this game would be at least 60 or something. It's low 50s in a dome. I don't know. I feel like it just bust. And Harris, dude's going to be 40% owned. He's played one game all year. It was a good game, but it was versus friggin' Bowling Green. These are the plays that always bust. And if he's going to be 40% owned, I'm just going to take my chances. I think that he busts.
So you guys gave different numbers. He said 25, you said 40. Are you looking at different numbers, or is that?
I just know everyone plays cheap. I mean, we don't. Yeah, I got my own numbers. I don't know what he's looking at, but
I've seen 25 to 35.
I know everyone's going to play the cheap quarterback like they always do. So I guarantee he gets ownership coming off the. What was he? He put up 36 last week, and he's 5,500. If people are going to play him, he's in a dog spot against Toledo. I think he busts, so I'm going to let the field bust. I don't like this game. I think this game busts. These prices aren't great. If I was going to play anyone, it would be Bangara, but I can't play him at running back today either. So yeah, I'm off this game.
I like the idea of just praying and fading. I think this game, and just you can also catch up in your own.
I'm just going to fade.
Fair enough. We can move on to one of the more interesting games of the slate, in my opinion. So Troy, Coastal Carolina. The reason why this is interesting is if McCall plays, that does change things, because I do have concerns that Troy's going to do whatever they want against Coastal's pass defense, which is one of the worst in D1. And Troy, like, they can throw the football, but like this dude Watson doesn't do anything like in terms of box score anything, which is weird because from a yards per attempt perspective, they do try to air the ball out. This offense runs almost like a triple option in the sense of they run it a lot and then they just take deep shots. And maybe that's why it skews the numbers in terms of yards per pass attempt and why Watson's numbers aren't as good as they could be. I think he's interesting. Like, obviously you look at his box score and it's hard to stomach any of it. But again, if you're looking at where to beat Coastal, you beat him through the air. This team's one of the worst pass defenses, one of the biggest funnels in D1. They're not great against the run, but they're a hell of a lot better against the run than they are the pass. And they are a different team when McCall's playing, because when McCall's playing, their offense is going to be on the field longer. They're going less 3 and outs, so it'll help the defense. But either way, that piece of it's interesting. Vital, running back for Troy. I said this before, dollar for dollar, he's probably the second best running back on the slate. Edwards is to me the best. So Vital is second, Vaughn probably 3 or 4 for me afterwards. Vital's going to see ownership, but to me, he should. The dude gets 30, 35 carries a game. At least recently he has. And obviously he's going to see ownership, but look, it's an 8-game slate. Let's be honest. Everybody will be seeing ownership today. It's an 8-game slate. So overall, build the best teams you can. Take your stands where you want or will. Vital's a borderline lock. He stays upright today. He'll get there for you. Yeah, he could get hurt, of course, but he stays upright. The pass game for Troy is the most confusing piece for me because they're gonna take quite a few deep shots today. Maybe you go with Johnson at wide receiver for Troy, because there's just the numbers say they're gonna connect on deep shots today against Coastal's defense. So take that for what you will. Coastal's a tough situation. They run the football sparingly with different backs. It's just tough to predict. The wide receivers, Pickney, Brown, and Mobley, it's just a merry-go-round, and they're not exactly priced where you'd like them to be. But a lot of that is McCall, right? If McCall plays, I have a lot more faith in his pass offense. If he doesn't, it's hard. So you're going to have to wait for 3:30 to get more accurate takes for that game, at least for me anyway. But Big T, game like this, what are you doing with it?
Yeah, a lot of tough decision points. I'm with you on Vidal. Like, he's got a ton of work the last 2 weeks, 5,700. Have to have interest in him. Man, Coastal, I don't think I can go with anything there. It's only a 50 total. They kind of suck. They spread it around too, so I don't see that. This Gunner Watson, if I wanted to play the passing game, I mean, this dude's gone for 7, 2, and 9, 15. Man, I can't play that. No way. Tez, let's see, these receivers. I mean, yeah, I'm playing Vital and nothing else. I'll keep it simple.
All right. Mangone, same sentiment, just Vital and move on? Or are you doing anything here?
Yeah, I mean, you said you'll have accurate takes later when you have more information. Can I go in the Discord chat and get the most accurate takes from the number 6 college football player around that time to get your thoughts, Dunkel?
I don't know if I am the number 6 anymore. I didn't have a great week last week. But we shall see. I have no idea.
You're still number 6, just so you know.
But yes, Run Pure folks will definitely have some takes around 3-ish when we get more information on that game.
All right, well, that's the reason to sign up. So go sign up at Run Pure.
Yeah,
Sports, get in
we
there.
need some more likes on the video too. That's
yeah, what are we at? Let's see.
Doing Dunkel's job here a little bit.
Love it. Yeah.
There you go. Very Dunkel for not doing his job.
Yeah, that's what we like. We like fucking abrasive Bruce.
Yeah, tell him breaking news, Bruce. Breaking news, Dunkel. Tell him to hit the like.
Yeah, 350 you watching. 350 you watching. 57 likes. You guys know as a group watching this video that you fucked up because even Bruce is calling you out. Go ahead and like the video. At least get us past 150 likes. There's 350 of you. You get us 200 likes, I will give you a core before the end of the show. But it's got to be 200. None of this 150 nonsense. 350 watching. It ain't hard to like the video. Bruce, any takes from this one outside of Vidal?
Yeah, I think that Vidal's okay. Earlier in the year, you kind of saw Billingsley take some work from him as well. So, that's a little scary, but Vidal is definitely the better runner here. You did touch on Coastal's rush defense being a little bit better than their pass defense. They just got destroyed last week. Whoever they played, I forget now, but they got tore up in all phases of the game. I think if
Madison, maybe.
Yeah, that's who it was. Centeo just torched him. So yeah, I wish we could play Watson, but most of his games he has like 15 to 18 attempts. Like you said, if he connects on some of these long passes, he can be okay. Tez Johnson looks okay. 3.5 yards per route run, which is pretty elite as well. 4 touchdowns on the year. But yeah, I think Vidal's okay. And then kind of moving on. If McCall's in, some of these receivers can be in play, like Pinckney and Brown. Brown's been a little banged up, but earlier in the year he absolutely crushed for us. This Troy defense is really good though. They've shut out some good offensive teams in this conference though. So Vidal, and just kind of moving on from there.
All right, let's move on to Georgia LSU. This game honestly means nil to Georgia. I mean, outside of the fact of them, of course, winning the championship, they're going to be the number 1 seed regardless whether they win or lose this game. But yes, obviously they're going to want to win this game, so it's not like they're not going to play hard. Interesting. This will be probably maybe the first time all year I play Brock Bowers. Again, I look at a slate. I look at the options I have. Wide receiver is just an ugly slate today. So it's just an ugly slate of receivers all around today. So yes, Brock Bowers, I'll definitely be playing some of him today. The interesting piece with this game is they run so many running backs. It's just like it's hard to predict where what goes. LSU, Daniels has had a tremendous season for LSU. I just never play guys against Georgia. It's not like I'm just going to randomly change that today. And it's not like he's priced right either, like for the matchup. He's priced where he's basically been all year, and he's a little cheaper, but he should be a lot cheaper in this matchup. So yeah, no Daniels for me. They also started pricing up Jonathan Williams, which makes it more or less puts him out of play for me as well. And these receivers, Neighbor and Butte, they've been so mid. Like, how is Neighbors getting more production on a weekly basis than Butte? Like, I just don't even understand this LSU team. I mean, Butte's going to be a top 10, 15 pick, and they just consistently don't throw him the football. It's just I don't understand the situation. Granted, a big game like this, maybe Butte shows out, so maybe I'll have one lineup with him. But outside of that, Georgia side, it's pretty simple. I'll play Bowers. That's really it. And LSU, I'll probably have one lineup with Butte. That's it. Bruce, I'll kick it right back to you. Anything else you like in this game?
I think the problem with the LSU offense is Jaden Daniels is mid. I just don't like him. Ever since he was at ASU, he can run a little bit, but his passing game is just kind of trash to me. So I don't love him. I think you can make a case for Stetson Bennett in tournaments, especially if you're playing Bowers, just because he every now and then he has those games where he just comes out and torches the other team. In the first half, gets 300 yards, a few TDs as well. So and he has sneaky rushing ability too, every now and then. So I don't hate that. The running back position, like you mentioned, it's difficult because last week they started Milton for some reason, and he got about 20% of the snaps. So you just never know. McIntosh, he's been good this year, but just can't trust it. LSU running backs, I don't have any interest in at all. Bowers is a great play. Now his price is in the 6K range. It's perfect. You can make a case for McConkey here as well. 6,200 will be single digit owned. So he always seems to play well in these big games too. So he's interesting. And then Neighbors as a run back, 25% target share over the last 4 weeks.
Mangone, what about you? Anything other than what we've mentioned, or same?
No, it's really, Bowers and Tony talked about the Washington idea, which I don't hate if you fall in that as a last spot. I talked about that last week, so I'll let him kind of talk about it if he's going to discuss him, because I don't think that's a bad idea as a punt, because you might need a receiver punt or two, but there's some other later receiver punts I'm looking at as well.
Now, Washington on this slate, I didn't really like him on the last slate, but this slate, again, wide receiver is a tough position today. I wouldn't mind Washington today. Big T, any strong conviction there? And you got to be playing your boy Bowers, who's had more than 15 points once since week 4. But you got to be on him today.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. Georgia's just so tough. They just spread it around so much that, I can almost guarantee a couple of these guys crush, but the problem is the ones that don't. Netherland went up to 2-0. The problem is the ones that don't just are going to suck and not get there. So it's really hard to pinpoint which direction you want to go. I mean, McIntosh, no one is going to play this guy, and he's been really good lately. The problem is running back so good. 26 and 27 the last 2 weeks. I don't know. I struggle to play these guys. Running back so good today that you don't really need to gamble on that. It's only an 8-game slate. Like, for example, if I faded Deuce or something in the morning and he goes off, or some of the chalk hits, some of the adjustments I think you can make is maybe you play like some LSU guys. Daniels at least has upside. Like, I know Georgia's a brutal matchup. No one wants to play it, blah, blah, blah. I can say it all, and it's true. I'm not saying it's not true, but he at least has upside, and this Neighbors has been good at times. Butte, I mean, he used to be good. He's going to be an NFL guy. So you just never know. Like, if you need to pivot onto a low-owned stack, I at least think there's some scenarios that Kelly gets this team going and they score some points today. I still think Georgia's slightly overrated. They just haven't quite been tested. I won't be picking them this year when they gets to the playoff. I think someone will beat them. But I don't know. I don't love this game. If you need to pivot onto it, though, I wouldn't totally hate it. I wanted to play Stetson Bennett today. I was just hoping they priced him better. Like, price him at like
every week he's eight
so annoying. I really do want to play him today, though. Like, when I looked at the slate and I looked at the quarterbacks, because I don't love Drake May when we get to that game. I don't really love quarterback. I would love to play Stetson Bennett, but man, 8,200 is just too high. Unless you think LSU can score, which brings me to the point. Like, if you play him, I want LSU to score, so I almost just would like to, and the Georgia guys will get more. So if LSU scores, this game could be the winner, which last year it was a better spot because it was Alabama, Georgia, and you got Saban and you got NFL guys at quarterback and receiver. So it's not the same. I'm not saying it is. But there is at least a world where this game ends up the winner if LSU can score 24 points or something, because then Georgia's got to score. So I don't love it, but as a contrarian stack, I think you could throw a few pieces in.
Sure, and that's the thing. Like, that's why it is kind of easy. I wouldn't play Daniels personally, but I could. If you do play him, it's easy, right? Because that means Georgia's scoring a lot. Because it's not like LSU's going to win this game 17-3 or 24-3. So,
it's almost like a showdown strategy, right? Like, where if you get this, then these guys are going to get there too.
Yeah. So I think if you're going to play Daniels, you don't play him naked. You have to play Georgia's on the other. You just can't play Daniels alone today. Like, if you're hand building or you're using a sim, make sure you put in that. I play Daniels, I'm going to have pieces on the Georgia end. Because even like the best games he's had this year, he had 3 rushing touchdowns in. Like, it's like that's what your 100 yards rushing. Like, if you think he's going to rush for 100 today against Georgia, I mean, yeah, hey, could happen. But if he does, you got to play pieces from Georgia. All right, so move on to the next game. Boise, Fresno, low key good game. I mean, I don't know, maybe not super low key, right? Because Holani's probably not going to see any ownership. But the Fresno passing offense, this team does pretty well every week. I know Hayner's coming off a bad week last week, but it's hard to run against Boise. And Boise's not great against the pass, not amazing against the pass, but they're exploitable. Boise's got huge edge on the ground here if they choose to use it. So we saw our boy Green have a good week last week. I did think he was the best play in the slate last week. I got a little deterred by the random news from a beat writer what he thought Boise State should be doing in a game. But anyway, same price. Worst matchup this week for him, though. So, I mean, it's still a good matchup, but it's not as good. But I expect him to see some ownership. Problem is, it's hard to pair Green with receivers for Boise because even like Caples, to me, has limited upside with him throwing the football. Bowen, same thing. There's some like Cobb's out probably helps the situation, but still not ideal. Fresno end running back. Mims is not bad. Obviously, you can go there. Don't love the spot. He's probably got a high floor at the price, but again, we talk. He's in that Deuce Vaughn price range. So again, it's a good pivot if you want, but it's hard to fathom Mims outscoring Vaughn today. Really it though. I mean, you could stack this game up. It's pretty easy, right? You play Fresno quarterback with receivers, run back with Holani if you want. You'll be different for sure. It's just hard for me to get anywhere. Maybe a single play here and there. Nothing crazy for me in this game. Low key, decent game to stack though. So could do that. Big T, I'll kick right back to you. This game, any love? This total has shot up a bit more than from open, about 3 or 4 points actually from open. Anything of that catch your eye?
Yeah, is this game at Boise? I'm looking at it. It says it's at Albertson Stadium. I'm guessing that's Boise.
Yeah, I think that's
home
Boise.
game.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to make sure about that. It looks really cold there too. It looks like it's in the 20s, but I don't know. Like, I struggle with this Fresno team. Quarterback's priced up. No real receivers I love. I don't know, Boise. Again, a lot of these quarterbacks the decision point of the slate, really, because running backs, I mean, we can go back and forth, this guy, that guy. They're all pretty good plays at running back. I mean, you can find 3 or even 4 running backs if you wanted to. That's not going to be an issue. There's a ton of great quarterback, though. Man, nothing totally sticks out. That's why I think that one dude we talked about in the first clip of games is going to be very high owned, because there's just nowhere to go. So what people do when that happens, they'll go up and they'll play the Drake Mays because of the upside. They'll play a punt, cheap guy, which I don't know. A lot of these guys fall in that range. Like Talon Green in this game just can't be owned. But when you break it down even further, like Dunkel said, I mean, there's no receivers. Do I really want to play a naked Talon Green? I don't know. I just might stay away from this game again. On these shorter slates, too, I just like to take stands on games, just fade the game, hope it plays ugly. And this game, I can see this game playing ugly. I don't see anything that I just need in this game. Sure, if you want to get in here and get some pieces, sure. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't see anything that sticks off the page.
Fair enough. Mangone, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with Tony. I think the quarterback position is gonna like make a lot of decisions today. And one thing, like going to this show, I was like trying to make the Drake May thing work, but the more we talk about it, I don't know, I might not make the Drake May thing work. But we'll see. I don't think I really want to play anyone from this game. I mean, I'll play. I don't think I've played Helani in years, and I don't plan on doing it anytime soon. So Helani sucks. Hate this game. If I'm going to play a receiver, am I going to pay up for a Cropper? No, I don't think so. I think Bruce likes this game way more, so let him talk.
Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, I think Boise State's defense is a little bit overrated coming into this game. If you look at the couple games that they've played against good passing teams, they kind of got destroyed. They let this Utah State quarterback, who's terrible and very dusty, throw for 300 yards on them. So I just, I love the passing game here. I think Hainer throws for 300 yards, 3 TDs, and you can play Moreno Cropper or Remigio at wide receiver here. Both of those guys can have big games. I do like a little Talon Green if you're stacking the game up. Bowens or Caples would be my 2 favorite receivers from that side. Bowens is getting some looks way down the field, 17-yard average depth of target. Caples caught a long touchdown last week. So another guy that you can look at also is Eric McAllister, 4,500. He's stepped in for the injured guy, Cobbs, and he looks the part. 25-yard average depth of target for him too. And I think he scored a touchdown last week as well. So he'll go way under the radar if you need like a late pivot, or if you're stacking up this game. I think he's a great play.
Love it. All right, so Tulane UCF. These two played a few weeks ago. Game kind of shot out. I don't know if this one will shoot out in the same fashion, but some obvious advantages for certain groups. Tulane's defense has been really good all year. UCF's really hasn't, but UCF runs the football really well. I mean, I'd argue in terms of quarterback slate breakers. I mean, Plumlee's got to be near the top today, just because of his upside. Now, Tulane's obviously good, but he went for 40 against them a few weeks ago. He goes for 40, and on a day where quarterback is just tough to love spots, he's likely going to be in the optimal. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to have some Plumlee just because of how much he runs. The obvious chance.
The worry. So I played him last week, and he went for 35 in the first half, and then he pulled a hammy to end the half. I'm super worried about his injury. Like, do we have any sort of knowledge on that? Because he didn't play the whole second half, and obviously, if he can't run, he's dead.
Supposedly, their coach said he's been dealing with it for a while.
Really?
So yeah, it's just something.
Did they have to win last week to get in this game? Or was it just like they were holding him for precaution?
No, they had to win. So yeah, they said they just held him out for precautionary reasons, but
it's probably a good thing though, regardless, Tony, right? Because it's gonna make people hesitate to hit his button.
Yeah, you're right. Because if he was fully healthy, like say he played the second half last week and he went not another 35, but say he got you 53 or something, everyone would be playing this guy. Like no doubt about it.
It's a tough quarterback slate, right? So I think
he clearly has upside.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, other than that, any other pieces? So like for me, I think RJ Harvey's playable at 5,400. I know it's not ideal, but we are looking for backs that might be cheaper, might be a pivot. The dude catches passes, and I think the big problem is that maybe I fumbled, I think, late in the game. I'm worried that could deter his upside today. But it's pretty clear that they like to use him between the 20s. And I know Bowser gets the goal line work, but this dude also catches passes. So I don't mind him at 54. It's really a price play. Obviously, Spears is good. I talked him up last week against Cincy that I still liked the spot because the guy just gets there every week. So, yeah, he's in a better matchup now, so it's hard not to like him. But we just, there's 4 or 5 backs that are likely going to be anywhere between 20 to 25 to 50, 60% owned. Spears is one of them as well. He projects probably higher than per dollar. He's up there for sure. But other than that, the receivers are tough to get to when Plumlee's running this offense. They just usually run the football a lot more. So when the other guys, O'Keen or whatever is, Keen is the quarterback, they throw more. So I don't love the passing game here either way. Pratt has upside even at 7K in a matchup that's really good. So you'd argue somebody likely gets there for Tulane. That's really it for me though. Tony, I'll kick it right back to you. Is it really just maybe Plumlee, move on? And Spears, of course.
Yeah, I mean, from the Tulane side, something about Pratt sticking out to me too. I just feel like this game has to score at least some points. As long as Plumlee's in there. Pratt, again, every game we talk about quarterback, I just don't feel great about any of them. So I don't know. He's shown upside at times going against UCF. I think you could play like him and Spears together. I wanted to look at this Jaquan dude, 3,200. Has he done anything for value? Man, he's been pretty
bad lately.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back a little further, like in the last UCF game, he went 5 for 95, 14.5 points. He's got an 11, 15, 10, 13, 16. He's got enough good games that we need value today. I don't think playing a 3,200, especially if you play Pratt, I don't think it's bad to play this dude at 3,200. He has been terrible the last 2 weeks. I'll throw that out there. But, man, we need value. It's an 8-game slate. You're going to have to gamble somewhere. I mean, don't just put your cash team in there with all the obvious plays. I don't know. I think I could play this dude at 3,200 with some value. And the UCF side, man, Plumlee's been our hero for 3 years now, it feels like. Big slate today, big tournaments. I really want to play him, but I'm definitely worried about the heavy. I'm not going to lie. And he makes the slate harder too, right? Because if he's full health, I might play him on all 3 of my teams. But, man, if he goes down, you're screwed. If he goes off, you're screwed if you don't play him. So it's a really tough decision for me. His receivers, I don't think you even need to do that. He can't throw. I mean, you can play O'Keefe and Baker, but I don't see it. You can't play the running backs, I don't think. Two of them. There's too many good running back plays for me, at least, to gamble at running back all that much. So, yeah, Plumlee and then the Tulane guys, I could even play all 3 of those guys together. Say you played Plumlee, I think you could play the whole trio of the Tulane guys, and that would be like your little stack. Maybe you throw a UCF receiver in, but I don't think you need it.
Fair enough. Mangone, what about you?
Yeah, we talk about Spears a little bit, but before we talk about Spears, can we talk about Jermaine in the chat? I mean, we need more people like Jermaine Beckham. He says, not playing college football today. Just here to smash the like button and shake up the algorithm. So, Jermaine, we appreciate you just popping in, just hitting that like and getting up out of here about your day. Maybe you're going to have a little brunch action. Who knows what you're doing, Jermaine? But thank you for hitting that like. All these other people are not hitting that like. Be more like Jermaine. Be better. But Spears is definitely someone that I like here. I think the problem I'm going to have with him is which running backs do you play over him? Like, how do you rank them, right? Because I like Edwards a lot. I like Vaughn. I mean, Big T says it's already locked into my spot. So obviously, I'm guaranteed to play him.
You're definitely playing Spears and Vaughn.
You're definitely playing Vaughn.
No, I'm not, but then am I definitely playing like Edwards? Because I'm running out of money, guys. Do you have extra salary I don't know about? Anybody?
You got to play my boy Jaquan in this game.
This is probably the most frustrating part of this show for me. Mangone, you're playing Vaughn. Why are you even on?
I'm not for sure playing both.
This is my favorite on Albago. He always acts like he might not play the best play.
If we're gonna get the board out, you were wrong that I ended up playing that quarterback. So just for the record,
part of the problem is though you only got one, and we like egg you in it so hard that you like want to prove us wrong. That just you like want to do it. So we're like encouraging you to make the bad play.
I mean, it wasn't a bad play. It was a good play. I beat you, so it doesn't matter. I was better than you, the number 8 and number 6 college football player that day. I'll say that. So, but anyways, yeah, overall, Spears is a good play. And to be fair, Bruce, we talked pre-show before these two clowns hopped in the room, and I didn't sound like I was playing Spears. Would you agree?
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you, Bruce. So, and helmets there is another person to listen. But Spears is definitely a good play. But if they're trailing, right, the trailing script could hurt him. That is the key. But like you said before, this is a really good run defense, or a really bad run defense, and it's a great matchup for someone like Spears to really just go out there and dominate.
Fair enough. Bruce, what about you?
Breaking news, Mangone like Spears.
That's great.
What Bruce said last week.
Yeah, I love Spears in this game. He got 8 rushes last time they played, just because they fell behind early. Plumlee's running ability put him in an early hole, and Spears just totally crushed. So yeah, I love Spears here. Game probably stays close, and he 8 rushes for 130, and if this game stays close, he just smashes. I kind of like RJ Harvey. I know that he's kind of risky in this game, but he catches passes as well, and he's just a great play for me. O'Keefe is interesting, just because if somehow UCF falls behind in this one, if you're playing Spears, I like his ability to take those short passes a long way. So Wyatt and Deuce Watts have both been good for Tulane lately. You talked up Jackson a little bit, 3,200. He's just too cheap, 2 yards per route run. So all these Tulane receivers are pretty explosive. They throw the ball down the field quite a bit. So any of these guys can have a big game.
Well, let's move over to North Carolina Clemson. So obviously this game will be arguably the most popular on the slate. But there's a lot of different ways you can go, right? Some are obvious. Most are obvious, arguably. Clemson's defense has been definitely overrated all year. It's definitely bitten me a bit. It bit me last week again. I didn't play any South Carolina, and they all got there. Now, granted, Spencer Rattler, just the pick 6, like he was so bad at times in that game that it let him show how good he can be also. He dug himself a hole and then was able to build himself out of it. They also were dealing with some injuries on South Carolina's side during the game. So credit to South Carolina. They showed a lot of poise. I think Clemson ended up winning, Or they ended up
South Carolina won the last 2 weeks over 2 top 10 teams. They look so good too.
Yeah, so Rattler transferred there because that he's started head coaching them last year, but obviously I forgot his name, but he came with a lot of accolades, and that program's turning around. They look good. They definitely look good offensively.
I wish they were on this slate today, because I would jam them right back in there. They've looked incredible. I can't wait for whoever they play in a bowl game.
Yeah, now the good thing with this with North Carolina is Mac Brown over his tenure just pisses down his leg in these types of coaching games. Now, Drake May was really exposed last week, and he actually hasn't been great because he's actually, I'd argue, been exposed for his last 6 quarters of football. He's looked really, really mid, and if he doesn't rush for a touchdown last week, his numbers are even worse. It's just, so May makes sense because the defense is overrated for Clemson. This game's going to play fast. Tell you what, Green for North Carolina is clearly they've been running him a lot, especially over the last few weeks. To me, he's got a high floor. But yeah, of course, the popular side is going to be the Clemson side, especially Shipley. I don't mind DJU. I'll be honest. I don't know what he's going to come in at ownership-wise, but he has upside. The guy rushes a ton. He's a big dude. He's just so blah. Like, if you watch him throw a football, he's so bad. So bad. The matchup is really good for him, though, which helps. But yeah, you can go a bunch of different ways. I'm sure Downs, from a receiver standpoint, is probably going to be the highest owned receiver on the slate. I'd be shocked if he wasn't, just because there's really nobody else you can get safe points from. Like, he just gets there. I know last week he had a bad week, but so did Drake May. They just over-target the shit out of him. Green got there last week instead. But, yeah, I don't know what the ownership's going to be. He makes sense to be the highest-owned receiver on the slate. So, yeah, bunch of different ways you can go. Bruce, what are you doing with this game? Ownership's probably very high, but are you using that to your advantage? Fade some spots, or are you going in?
Yeah, I'll have some pieces from this game. I'm not going crazy. Like you said, May has been just the last 2 games. He's played 2 good defenses. I think Georgia Tech's defense is a little bit underrated for how good they are. They've really been decent this year, even though their team is pretty bad. But Yeah, and then they played NC State's defense last week, and it didn't look great either. So yeah, I like DJU in this game. I think he's a little bit underpriced at 7,300. I see ownership between 20 and 25% other places. So I think he could be in that range. I think Shipley is the best play in this game, though. Pace came back last week, and he still got 84% of the snaps. So just to me, they trust this guy. This is a terrible rush defense, giving up 29 points per game to the running back spot, and probably one of the best rushing teams they've played this season. So I like Shipley a ton. Antonio Williams is going to be pretty popular today. I can see that just because they are without Bo Collins today. So since he's out, he's going to be targeted a lot more. I actually like Antoine Green in this spot. Clemson has been terrible at giving up explosive passing plays. So, and that's kind of where he shines. Played 94% of the snaps last week. Average depth of target is 20 yards down the field. So that's a nice pivot off of Downs. Downs is one of those guys that can have 9 catches for 67 yards, no touchdowns. That's just how, what areas of the field he's targeted. So that's, I think that's a pretty nice pivot off of the chalk there if you need it.
What about you, Mangone? Mr. One Lineup, what are we doing with this one? Most popular game on the slate.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I have 2 questions for you guys. One, Dunkel, when I'm done with my breakdown, I want to know the yards per, what the spreadsheet says. And Tony, I want to find out from you how I'm getting the salary cap to play Drake May, Josh Downs, DJ, all these guys. Because this is the chalk, and I'm going to play this with all those running backs. And you literally can't afford it, but you're going to tell me how to do that when we get to you. I can't wait.
You're going to play the running backs. I didn't say you're playing these dusty dudes.
Spreadsheet says Clemson can do whatever they want today. They're the highest scoring projected total on the slate. So yeah, do with that what you will. North Carolina is one of the best passing offenses in D1. Clemson, where they are exposed, is definitely against the pass. You practically can't run on Clemson for the most part. But yeah, so take that for what it's worth, man.
Yeah, I mean, I love this spot. It's the game that I like the most. The problem I'm having with it is it's hard to fit the pieces together. DJ, I think you could play him with either of these receivers. I kind of like going to, we're going to call him Joseph N. He's 3.9K. If you want to try and pronounce the name, good luck. I don't know how to say it, but Joseph N for 3.9K. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be a little value piece that I consider using. You could play him over Williams as a little bit of leverage, or you could play him with Williams. Just say, hey, I'm going to take the passing game and just load up.
This guy has scored 5 or less fantasy points in 3 straight weeks.
Okay, they're getting
this is the guy you love.
I mean, you need
you better
value.
add a second team, Mangone.
We need guys. We need value on this slate. Bruce is on board with me. He's on his sheet.
He always likes this dude. Bruce has liked this dude for 5 years.
Yeah, because I need salary. Where are you saving your money? Where are you saving? They have another guy out. They're losing Collins. Collins is not there. There are targets that are going to go his way. It could go to EJ Williams at 3K. It could go to so many of these other guys, but
I could have like 500 teams and I wouldn't play DJU. He is straight ass cheeks. He is horrendous.
I'm playing. I'm pretty surprised you're not. I mean, you know what else?
He's horrendous. Like he is freaking horrendous.
But the UNC defense sucks. Now, if you
I don't care if it sucks. He sucks. He's ass cheeks. He went 8 for 29 against South Carolina last week. He is straight cheeks.
To be fair, something has to give. Someone has to win.
Nothing has to give. This game can be low scoring. Why does it have to give?
I mean,
just because it's the highest total, everyone, I want to play it. No one's going to play the TCU game with the same total. Everyone's playing this game with ass cheeks at quarterback.
That's a fair point. I totally agree.
Mangone, your cheap receiver is going to be Shoemaker from Michigan. He is a Mangone guy. He's back healthy. That is the Mangone 3.3 play.
That's the Bruce play too. The Scoon.
Shoemaker's definitely solid one. The one thing I've considered too is in that next thing that we're going to get to is there's a cheap quarterback that if they're going to air it out, you're going to want to be all over. But I think DJU is great. I mean, I
hope you play him because I'm going to make fun of you because he sucks.
That's fine. I'm going to make fun of you when the UNC defense sucks.
That's fine. I'm going to make fun of you, Big T.
I'm good with that.
I might have to fly to Kentucky just to sweat the game. Is there a flight I can jump on? We can sweat the game. Right. We might have to find a flight, fly into Kentucky, watch some Sunday football, and then just
to watch DJU friggin' at his ass cheeks.
All right, so Big T, you've had some strong takes here. Is this a game you're just going to be way underweight on?
I hate this game. I mean, Drake May, don't get me wrong. Like, I love Drake May and Josh Downs, but it's the pricing, and I just don't think this game shoots out. I don't. I think it plays low scoring. I think it's ugly, and these prices are all high. I mean, even Shipley, he's fine. I don't mind him, but I think this game is way overowned. I think Clemson slows the game down. I think this game plays very ugly, goes way under the total. Tons of ownership wasted. DJU is straight ass cheeks. I hope people play him because he's horrible. So I have strong takes about this game because I think this game's terrible.
All right, yes, we can move on to the last but not least game, Michigan Purdue. So yeah, Edwards, to me, best play on the slate. Now, granted, that's tomato, right? Because there's so many good running back plays. I mean, everybody's gonna have their own opinions. 6'4", I don't know how you don't like if he stays upright. Again, another guy that likely gets there for you, just staying upright. But yeah, use it as pivot leverage and whatnot, however you want it. It's like we said last week with the James Madison running back. It was like the only way this dude's not getting there for you is if he gets hurt. And in the beginning of the third quarter, he scampers for 30 and gets hurt. So yeah, that's how this guy won't get there for you today. Edwards has to likely get hurt for him not to get there. As for the other side, Mangone, I know you asked questions about the Purdue side. Look, I just have rule. I don't play guys against Michigan unless it's a robust program. So like I don't consider Purdue a robust program. I get it. The script is going to be there. A guy like Charlie Jones, I might have a one-off lineup with Jones. Aiden O'Connell is just somebody to me that always plays like shit against really good defenses. Now, granted, he also plays like shit against bad defenses. So, yes, I'm an O'Connell guy when he's less than 6K at home as a small dog. I am not okay when he's 5'7", only 300 less than 6K on the road against one of the best pass defenses in D1. Yeah, I get it. The game doesn't mean a whole lot to Michigan outside of the ship. Same thing with Georgia. Michigan's in, doesn't matter. But Michigan's going to want to step on this team's throat if they can. It's also Michigan's likely to play this game a little slower, which Purdue speeds it up. Probably better for Michigan, but this just has a stat line to me of O'Connell with 250 yards, maybe a touchdown or two, negative 40 rushing yards. Like it's just going to be one of those types of games for O'Connell, in my opinion. And yeah, him getting there is likely him getting you like 18 today, which to me, if you get 18 from O'Connell today, enjoy that because that's probably what you're looking for if you're playing. Big T, this game, obviously Edwards going to be super popular. Outside of that, are you maybe going to slide in Jones in a lineup? Maybe O'Connell? What are you doing with it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I watched the game last week with Ohio State like everyone. They did a good job against the receivers. Even Harrison was pretty slowed down. I think these Michigan cornerbacks are pretty good. So I have a hard time spending up for that. I mean, I didn't like North Carolina, but I couldn't play him over like Downs. I don't think. Just looking, what's the price? 74 and 76. Yeah, I couldn't play him over Downs. So doubt I go there. The guy I think is kind of sneaky is Maccabee though at 6,100. I think he could catch a bunch of dump offs in this spot, and I don't know. Like no one's going to play him. Running back, the only issue is running back. I don't really want to get creative at running back. I want to get creative at receiver and other spots just because running back's so loaded. But Maccabee's a stud, man. I like him. So I'm not totally ruling him out. O'Connell, again, if I played O'Connell, I would play Charlie Jones, and I would just almost like the Georgia spot again, where if I go in, I'm just going to go in more, but I don't like this game as much. Michigan is always one of the easy teams for me. Just play whoever the running back is and move on. Donovan Edwards, just like you guys, I don't really see how you don't play him. I mean, he's gonna get there. So I don't know. I have to play him. Rest of the guys, I know I want to hear what Bruce thinks about old Schoonmaker. So I remember playing him early in the year. He had a 20, a 21, bunch of targets. Last week he had 1 for 15. But again, we need value on an 8-game slate. I'm okay to rolling the dice on some of these cheap receivers to make stuff happen. And you don't need the same upside. Like if he gets you a touchdown, you're huge. I don't know. I don't think I like him as much as whoever, I forget who we were talking about earlier. I got him in there, but whoever the other 3K guy was that I like that guy a little more. But you can even play both of them on a team and go up. I don't hate gambling a little bit at receiver today. So that's where I'm at. I don't really see anything else I would play. I'm definitely not playing the passing game. I just don't see that. So it would be Edwards, Schoonmaker, and Maccabee maybe. And Maccabee could be another one, honestly, where say you're at the end of the night and there's someone ahead of you that you know has Edwards. You just know he has Edwards because the salary were left. Maybe you pivot Edwards to Maccabee with it's your only hope. And I mean, yeah, that doesn't sound very good and something you'd be interested in. But if you need to get crazy at the end of the night, that could be your pivot to just maybe pick up some space somehow.
100%. Don't mind that. I was muted. LOL. Mangone, what about you? I mean, one lineup, Edwards, lock him in.
Yeah, Edwards is the guy. He's my favorite running back on the slate. Also, we have people in the chat trying to figure out how I don't have salary. Well, if you play Drake May, guys, it's very hard. Drake May and Josh Downs makes it hard, which, to be fair, lineups haven't locked yet. This is where you kind of have to look at stuff. And I'm running optimizers, right, and looking at everything. I might move off of those two just because it's kind of hard to make it work with some stuff. So
what you can do too, Mangone, is just play the receiver and don't play the quarterback. Try to get all of it through the receiver.
You want to be different. You want to be different. Play May naked.
Yeah, and so an idea too that I've looked at just like now and like it keep going through is, I mean, McCarthy's got some rushing upside. Do you want to just capture all the Michigan touchdowns and they just steamroll Purdue, right? I mean, McCarthy paired up with Edwards, and then you can even grab a Shoemaker, right, for 3.3K. I've definitely considered that route of the cheaper quarterback because we are struggling for value on this slate. If you don't think we're struggling for value, go name me all the 5K and below guys that are actually good today. There's not a great amount. That's why I gave you that Joseph N. clown, right, Dunkel? There are not good values. That's why maybe you need to spend your salary relief at the quarterback position. That's why it's definitely something to think about a little bit. And that's why I am kind of thinking about playing McCarthy at quarterback. I mean, it could be a nice little value piece for you. Also, if you do play Josh Downs on this slate and you feel like you're behind, Charlie Jones is a great late night pivot that you can easily go to. Both elite receivers. Hope that Charlie Jones pops off for a big game. Yes, you understand if you do switch to a Charlie Jones over someone like Josh Downs, you are doing it because you are very behind and you're trying to play catch up. You know Downs ownership and you're trying to just leap them with the Jones having a massive game. So that's something to think about as well from like a pivoting perspective if you think you're just completely dead. But overall, I think this Michigan side is a good side to attack. Edwards is good. We haven't talked about Stokes much at 3.2K. I think he's in the conversation, but after talking through the show, my big issue is I think running back is too deep maybe to take a chance on Stokes. That's the biggest struggle that I was having. That was one of the guys I was kind of trying to maybe punt with at times to make my lineups work. But I think the Stokes idea is just going to be a little too thin with how deep this running back position is today in this mid-tier and up top.
Fair enough. Bruce, what about you? Last but not least game, what are you doing with it?
Yeah, I think Edwards is also the best play on the slate here. I've gone back and forth on Stokes, whether you can play him or not. I think he can get there if the game blows out. If you look at like some of the other games where Michigan has rolled, it seems like they've fed the running backs pretty well. Like the Hawaii game, everybody got a touchdown, I think. So it's interesting if you need the value. I think there's better value at the wide receiver spot today. But yeah, it's a solid play if you need it. I think one of the guys that's going to be under owned today is Ronnie Bell. 27% target share last 4 games. You had Cornelius Johnson going off last game. And this Michigan passing game, nobody's going to play it. So, if you need a late night pivot as well, I think that's a good one. Only 5,700 for him just seems low. It's always hard for me to click a Michigan receiver's name, but I think he's one of the best receivers in the country if he was on another offense. Schoonmaker is a little bit scary just because they've been playing this Loveland guy as well. He got 80% of the snaps last week. I think Schoonmaker's still a little banged up. So he only got 39% of the snaps in the Ohio State game. So that's something to watch, I guess, pregame. McCarthy is a good little tournament pivot off of Edwards if you need it. 6,300 for him. So, somehow he's getting all the touchdown luck in this one. He's Purdue's not a good defense, so he could have a big game and Edwards somehow can score 12 and you have McCarthy there scoring 28 at 6,300. So that's where I sit on that one.
All right, cool. So that basically wraps up the slate. I will make one point before we go that look, you want to be different today. Guys like Drake May, guys like the Clemson quarterback DJU, you do not have to pair them with receivers. They run. I mean, if Drake May rushes for 2 touchdowns for you today, you likely won't want to have him paired with any receiver. So it's not crazy to play these receivers because I promise you, anybody in optimizers for that Clemson game, they're likely going to have mini stacks with a pass catcher and a quarterback. So don't fall in love with the fact that you need today of all days. Don't fall in love with the fact that you need the right receiver, you need the right run back, because that's how everybody's going to build their lineups. And it's a smaller slate. Be different where you can. So yeah, if you're building one lineup, to me, take your stands. You obviously want to make the lineup where you're going to get the most points. Don't worry about being different. But if you're building multiple lineups, definitely spread yourself out in terms of what you're stacking. Don't always stack certain spots. Play a quarterback naked. Play 2 receivers without the quarterback. Like do things that are going to make you different, because ultimately that'll make the difference for you if things go the right way. But with all that said, thank you everybody for watching. Let me just see what we ended at with likes. Not even close to 200. So sorry you won't get the core. Run Pure Sports will get all our cores. So head over if you want all that information. Got another 35 minutes before lineups lock. And the good news is when you build lineups, all you have to do is just build the lineups for 12 o'clock. That's it. So just lock your guys in for 12. It's only 2 games. And you'll have 3 hours to modify the rest of your lineups afterwards. So keep that in mind also. But yes, with all this said, gamble responsibly, stay safe. As always, folks, run pure. We'll all see you tomorrow in our own way doing NFL stuff. But yes, with that said, enjoy your weekend. Helmet, get out of here.